Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Shaping Tomorrow on season 11. My name is Muhammad Syafiq Borhanuddin, a fellow at IKIM, a think tank based in Kuala Lumpur. In this episode, Alhamdulillah, we are glad to have with us a guest currently based in Germany, Dr. Fatih Ermiş, who is an author of History of Ottoman Economic Thought, Developments Before the 19th Century, published in 2014, and we happen to have this book of his at IKIM's library, published by Routledge, a very useful and important book about how during the Ottoman period, in the one of the great periods of Islamic civilization, understood the notions connected to economy. But I believe, inshallah, we learn more with Dr. Fatih Ermiş, who will be sharing, from some insights from this book of his. Please, Dr. Fatih, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Syafiq, for this kind invitation and for this opportunity to talk about Ottoman economic ideas and economic organization of the Ottoman Empire. And the title I choose for today's conversation is Justice at the Core of Economic Organization. I chose this topic while thinking on big empires of the past and today. I mean, how the big empires exercise power, their power. This is usually with central concepts. For example, let's look at the United States as today's superpower. How does United States exercise its power? What is the central concept when the United States goes to somewhere? It's always the claim is to bring democracy. And the central concept is democracy for the United States. They want to bring democracy to Iraq, for example, bring democracy to Afghanistan, bring democracy to Libya, Syria, etc. This is the main rhetoric. Although they don't have any problems with that Saudi Arabia is not a democracy, for example. But anyway, this is their rhetoric. I mean, if you look at it, you can always, of course, there are also side concepts like self-determination, human rights, etc. These are all together, but at the center of all of these, you can see the rhetoric of bringing democracy to somewhere. Yes. What was this central concept for Ottoman Empire? I can start with this question, and the answer is without doubt. This central concept for the Ottoman Empire was justice. Just like for United States, it's democracy, and the central concept is democracy. For Ottoman Empire, it was justice, and this is this concept is behind all other rhetorics and ideologies and everything, basically. But what did the Ottomans understand from justice? I mean, our today's understanding of justice is a narrow one compared to Ottoman understanding of justice. Today, we usually understand from justice basically few aspects like social and economic aspect, juridical aspect, and commutative justice and distributive justice, for example. What I mean by that is that we say a country, a state is just as long as economic surplus is distributed more or less equally, and the penalties are applied proportionally. I mean, if anybody commits a crime, the penalties should be not extremely unproportionally high or unproportionally low, so that if anyone commits a crime, we know that there will be a punishment, proportional punishment. So juridical justice and social and economic justice. These are basically what we understand from justice today. In the Ottoman understanding, these two aspects also belong to the concept of justice, but justice itself was more broader concept than only social and economic and juridical justice. justice includes, actually, in Ottoman understanding, the whole span of virtues. Justice is almost equal to a virtual life in Ottoman understanding. And in this sense, the Ottoman scholars accepted that in the narrower sense, even infidel countries, infidel states can be just, can be governed justly. For example, there's a famous saying from reported from Ibn Taymiyyah. He says that God upholds the just state even if it's unbelieving, but does not uphold a Muslim state if it's unjust. So justice is seen in this regard as the basis of whole social structure. So even if it's only in this narrower sense of justice, which I mean social and economic justice and juridical justice, the worldly system would work. But this is not absolute justice. This is only partial justice. It would work worldly. The Ottoman claim is to exercise absolute justice, not only partial justice. Because justice, the definition of justice in the classical books is, in Arabic, وَضْعُ الشَّيْءِ فِي مَوْضِئِهِ, to put everything on their proper places. So how can an infidel state be just in the absolute meaning, not in partial meaning, via not following the true religion? This is not possible because they are doing the biggest injustice possible in Ottoman understanding, in Ottoman view. So in absolute meaning, it cannot be just. But in partial meaning, yes, even an atheist state can be just. Kınalızade Ali Çelebi, one of the famous Ottoman scholars of the 16th century, he died 1572 in 16th century in Istanbul, in Edirne, and he discusses, for example, the laws of Genghis Khan, the Mughal Empire, Genghis Khan, because he was not a Muslim, and he had famous yasa laws. I mean, in Mughal they called it yasa. He had famous laws. He wrote this down in a testament for his sons and grandsons, etc. And his state was successful. I mean, they conquered half of the world and governed all of these people, etc. Kınalızade accepts that this is possible. I mean, even with worldly laws, non-divine, which means non-divine laws. I mean, the source of these laws were Genghis Khan himself. I mean, these were not divine laws. So even with non-divine laws, it's possible to govern this worldly life, but this still will be partial justice and not absolute justice. Absolute justice is only possible to exercise justice in its real sense, not only in social, economic, and juridical aspects. Yes, this is my short introduction to the topic about the dimensions of justice, and we can further continue how the Ottomans, in more detail, understood justice. If you like, Syafiq.
Yes, please, Dr. Fatih. And I believe for this topic in your book, it's clear that you examine the sources in the great Ottoman archives in Sulaimaniye, in the Ottoman archives in Prime Minister's office. So, I mean, this is the work that you had to do, yes, Dr. Fatih, to look into the concepts and to how the Ottomans understood justice.
Yeah. Thank you. Then we can deepen into the knowledge of justice, because it's we want to discuss also economy, as you know. I mean, it's connection. I mean, the concept of justice, this understanding of justice, and its connection to economy. Justice, in this sense, in the Ottoman understanding, is nothing but balance, basically. Because in Arabic also you can, an Arabic word for justice is adl. And you can derive from the same root, i'tidal. I'tidal means being moderate. So balance, in a sense, balance. So we defined justice as putting everything on its place, and this putting everything on its place is being in a balanced position and following a balanced path between extremes. Because for all human actions, you can, in the classical ethics books, you can find two extremes, and justice is following the middle path between these extremes. This is how they understand balance, and they understand not only economy or society, the whole cosmology, the whole universe in this with this balanced perspective. One of the Ottoman scholars, Naima, for example, and Katip Çelebi before him, actually, Naima rather reports from Katip Çelebi this idea. He compares society from this balanced perspective with human body. If you can go to next slide, please. Yeah. Katip Çelebi argues that the medicine of that time was different, completely, largely different from our today's understanding from modern medicine. This is they had this humoral theory. The main concept of medicine at that time was a humoral theory. And Katip Çelebi summarizes this in his book to compare this humoral theory with society and applies the idea of balance in this process. And according to humoral theory, which comes from Greek medicine, and the Greek took it from ancient Egypt, basically, in the human body, there are four humors. These are black bile, phlegm, blood, and yellow bile. And these four humors are directly connected with four elements at the same time, which are fire, earth, water, and air. And these have also characters like black bile is dry and cold, phlegm is cold and wet, blood is wet and hot, and yellow bile is hot and dry. So these, in the Galenic medicine, being healthy means a balance between these four humors. And if someone is sick, this can only be because of an imbalance between the four humors. So what the physician was supposed to do, was to re-establish the balance, the distorted balance. This was the main understanding of medicine until 19th century. Even if Europe, in Europe also, in everywhere, basically in Middle East, Islamic countries, this was the main understanding, the main framework of medicine. Now, what Katip Çelebi does is going a step further from here, because he thinks that if this is how our body functions, and society consists of people, many people, so in this society there should be also a similar system, because everything is created by God. So if God put this system in single human body, the same system should operate in the whole society as well. This was his main idea. And in this sense, we can go to next slide, please, Syafiq. Yeah, he compares these four humors which were blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm, with 4 groups in society. And the main idea is that there should be balance, just like when there is balance in among these 4 humors, a person is healthy. If there is balance between 4 groups of society, this society can be accepted as healthy. And these 4 groups are compared. For example, scholars are like blood, according to Katip Çelebi, or Hacı Khalifa was another name of him. Merchants are like yellow bile, peasants are like black bile, and functionaries, bureaucrats, military or non-military, all of them are like phlegm. And this match in Katip Çelebi's mind is not random. I mean, he has arguments why he chose, for example, scholars as being equal or likened blood. I mean, Katip Çelebi argues that what makes our body alive? I mean, if we say Syafiq is alive, we mean with this statement that Syafiq's soul is in his body. And what we call death is actually, we mean to say that when we say, I don't wish that if somebody is dead, we mean his soul or her soul left his or her body. So this is what makes a human body alive is soul. I mean, if the soul leaves the body, then this person is not alive anymore. So what makes a society alive? I mean, because in the case of these 4 groups, we are talking about whole society, not a single human being. What makes a society alive? This is, according to Katip Çelebi, this is knowledge in the broadest meaning of the word. The whole knowledge a society produces, the technical knowledge, scientific knowledge, the knowledge about how to greet someone, how to eat, all of these. I mean, the whole framework of knowledge a society produces makes this society alive. This is like soul for the society. And this knowledge, I mean, just like blood, just like human soul cannot circulate in the body, and it needs blood. In this understanding, the main function of blood is to transfer the human soul in the whole corners of human body. So just like these scholars also produce this knowledge and transfer to all corners of the society so that society remains alive. So in this sense, Katip Çelebi argues that scholars are like blood. They render the same function in the society. Or we can talk about merchants, for example. They are like yellow bile. The function of yellow bile in human body is to help digestion, or not digestion actually, after digestion to grasp, to get the useful parts of the digested food into the body. I mean, the digested food goes into intestines, as you know, from stomach, and in the intestines, the useful elements in digested food are taken, are absorbed by human body, and yellow bile facilitates this function. And without yellow bile, most of the useful parts of the digested food would go wasted. But yellow bile increases this, or optimizes, let's say, optimizes this absorption of useful elements in the digested food. So merchants are like yellow bile because merchants actually do not produce anything. What do they do? Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, let's assume 2 cities in the Ottoman Empire at that time, Bursa and Konya. Bursa was famous with silk production in the Ottoman time, even today, I guess. And Konya with wheat production. Not this city itself, but around Konya, there were flat areas, big flat areas, and wheat production was very common around Konya. And in Bursa, silk production. So merchants do not produce neither wheat nor silk, actually. They just go to Konya and buy the excess wheat produced there, but the people of Konya do not need that amount of wheat. They buy the excess wheat from in Konya and bring to Bursa and sell it with a profit. And they also buy excess silk produced in Bursa, bring it to Konya and sell it there with a profit. So without merchants, even without merchants, the production is there. I mean, in Konya, so much wheat is produced. In Bursa, so much silk is produced. But the whole production is like digested food in human body, cannot be optimally observed by the society without merchants, because the excess wheat would remain in Konya and perish there, because the people of Konya do not need such amount of wheat, and the excess silk would remain in Bursa and would not be used. So in this sense, merchants function just like yellow bile in human body. Merchants optimize the benefit of the produced goods in a country. And can we go to previous slide, please? Previous one, yeah. And if you look at the also functionaries or bureaucrats are like flag. Just with bureaucrats, he means both military and non-military bureaucrats, all of them. Everyone gets his salary from states, let's say, yeah, with bureaucrat. And these are like flag. And Katip Çelebi argues that the amount of flag in human body increases with aging. I mean, in a child body, flag is very little amount. But within time, if a person gets older and older, the amount of flag increases. This is not, I mean, you cannot do anything against it. It's not a natural process. With aging, the amount of flag increases. Similarly, Katip Çelebi argues, young states have smaller bureaucracy. I mean, smaller bureaucracy. But when a state becomes older and older, the amount of bureaucracy and number of bureaucrats, let's say, increases. And to some extent, you cannot really do something against this. I mean, you should live with this. I mean, an old state, bureaucratic class becomes bigger in an old state. So as you see, he reflects this whole medical structure of his time, medical framework, reflects it to society and understands society completely in accordance with this medical structure. And the main idea behind all of this is balance, because in the medical structure, in the medical framework, the main idea is to maintain a balance between these four humors, and the Sultan, Katip Çelebi argues, that should like a physician, should act like a physician, and look at the society. If there is a sickness and social sickness, if there is a problem in the society, then there should be in an imbalance between these four groups, and he has to reestablish the balance between the groups. This is the main idea behind this comparison.
Yes, Dr. Fatih. So it's also it's basically the aim is for justice, but they're using this wisdom from traditional medicine, which was very dominant in the Muslim world. I think everyone adopted this, as you mentioned. So, but because those days they're not too concerned with the quantitative side of economics, like GDP and whatnot, but their goal is to make sure they fulfill their trust, their amanah properly to achieve justice. And one of the most, I suppose, the important wisdom that was useful for them to refer into to make sure there's justice is this humor theory, like to as if the state, the empire, is a human being kind of thing. To
Yes.
think, make sure the empire has a health, economic health, social health, and everything. And the sultan is like a physician or like a doctor. That's very, very interesting indeed, Dr. Fatih. And I believe there's another side of the idea of justice you wish to share with us.
Yes, I want to go from here to the idea of circle of justice. Basically, can you please go to this one? Let us look at this. This is not this idea is not developed by the Ottomans. Actually, this is an ancient idea. Ibn Khaldun mentions also this idea. He mentions two roots for the idea of circle of justice. One is the Greek root, and the other is a Sasanian root, Iranian root. So this was in the ancient times is very common idea in both, as I said, Greek and Sasanian cultures. Maybe Indian also. I didn't make a research whether this idea was also in India. It may be. Ancient people came from this idea of justice. I mean, as you see, the idea of justice was very common in the before for state conception. I mean, before modern times. I mean, it was not specific to Ottomans to emphasize justice to this amount. Even ancient empires also were always emphasizing justice, and their main claim was to govern in a just way. So they came from the idea of justice to an idea of circle of justice, which creates a circle and repeats itself. I mean, whenever it comes to the end, it goes from the beginning again, and this circle repeats itself all the time. As we can see, these are in Ottoman Turkish 8 arguments, 8 sentences basically, and in the original, it starts in the bottom actually. Adldir mucibi salahi jahan. This is the first sentence in the bottom. And the first word is adl, which is justice. It starts with justice. And this formulation is from Kınalızade. I mentioned him in the beginning of my talk today. And this formulation belongs to him. And in this, he also aesthetically made a circle, because the last word of each sentence from the 8 sentences is the first word of the next sentence. For example, Addir mucibi salahi jahan, the last word is jahan, which means world. And the next sentence, jahan bir bağdır divarı devlet. So it starts with jahan, with world. And the last word is devlet, state. And the first word of the next sentence is again devlet, state. So it goes in this manner. And the last word of the last sentence, şeriatı rayyeti kul der, padişahı aleme adl. So the last word of the last sentence is adl, justice, and the first word of the first sentence was also adl. So even also aesthetically, he makes it a circle. What these 8 sentences mean, we can see in the next slide in English translation. Yeah, these are the translation of these 8 sentences in the previous slide in Ottoman Turkish. It states that it's justice that maintains peace in the world. So it states with justice. I mean, everything, the order of social order of society is with justice. Without justice, you cannot maintain any order. The world is a garden, and its fence is state. So states limit themselves. I mean, the whole world is like a garden, but there are many states. So whenever a state's limits or border you achieve the borders of it. From this border, it's like a fence. Another state starts. The governance or the rule of another state starts. It's like dividing a garden into sub-gardens belonging to different people. The states are conceived like this. The order of the state is Sharia. So you need an order for each state, for each sub-garden, and it's Sharia. In Islamic understanding, it's Sharia. There is no better guardian for religious law than authority. So Sharia is just written laws. I mean, in order to be practiced, in order that it's practiced, you need authority to make it alive in society. And authority cannot be maintained without an army. So authority comes from ruler, I mean, from a sultan or somebody, an authority. But in order that his authority is rendered in society, he needs an army. I mean, without army, without security forces, he cannot apply his authority. And an army cannot be instituted without wealth. So for army, you need wealth. You need to pay salaries as you remember, one of the four groups were bureaucrats in this Katip Çelebi version. I mean, this is one of the four groups. So in order to maintain an army, you need to pay them. If you don't pay them, they wouldn't obey the Sultan. And an army cannot be instituted without wealth. Wealth cannot be obtained except through the producing subjects. So in order that the Sultan may have wealth, there should be subjects producing. I mean, peasants, for example, merchants, etc. They have to be producing so that Sultan may get tax revenues from them, and with these tax revenues, he can pay the salaries of army. And the last sentence is the subjects serve the just ruler obediently. They would serve the ruler obediently if he is just. I mean, as long as he is just, they would voluntarily serve the Sultan. So in this sense, as you see, I mean, the last sentence again, when the subjects serve the just ruler obediently, we come to the first sentence. It's justice that maintains peace in the world. In this sense, it's a circle, and once established, it's supposed to repeat itself continuously, basically.
Yes, I believe, as you said, Dr. Fatih, this idea is very important for the Ottoman Empire, because I think you mentioned in the book when they understood how they understand the economic life is not separated from governance, from Sharia, and everything is seen as a part of one system, right? So the circle of justice, I think, played a central role even in Muslim lands in Central Asia. From what I read, in Central Asia, like in the Amir Timur's empire, and also in the Mughal Empire. Mm-hmm. And I think until today, there are still like some leaders and some intellectuals find it still so refreshing and so relevant today, because as you said, last time their notion of justice was quite comprehensive compared to today. Yes. Maybe from our point of view is a bit more partial and limited. Yes, Dr. Fatih, how does these two ideas link, the humor theory and the circle of justice? Like for Ottoman scholars, is this both theories discussed in the same section, like on governance, like on Tabirul Madinah, or how are they connected? These two main ideas, grand ideas in terms of justice.
Yeah. Thank you for this question, Shafiq. Yes, these ideas are discussed in many sources, actually. For example, Katip Çelebi discusses this idea in one of his risalas, Dusturul Amel li Islahil Halal. So guidelines for governance, I mean, Dusturul Amel li Islahil Halal, or for re-establishing balance in governance. He discusses in a risale, but Kınalızade also discusses this idea of the resemblance of these four humors, and actually he discusses not in the context of four humors but four elements. I mean, he also compares four groups in society with directly four elements, not four humors but four elements, because four humors are also in direct relation with four humors, as we just discussed. So they discuss these aspects basically. I mean, you can see this in many sources, but basically in ethics books, and especially in the parts ilmi tedbiri menzil or Medina. So the governance of families or governance of cities. You can see that because in a typical ethics book, there are three parts. The first part is called akhlaq, so individual ethics, or let's say applying the idea of balance in one individual's soul. So you have to first bring your soul in balance, your nafs, let's say, your nafs in balance compared with regard to the extremes, to two extremes. I mean, you have to follow the middle path between two extremes, so that this person becomes, in this sense, a balanced person in character, in his or her character. So this is the first part. But the idea behind all of these three parts in an ethic book is always balance. This is at the individual level, how you achieve balance. Then they discuss at the family level, how families can exercise balance or achieve balance in their family life. And then they discuss it at the societal level, how as a society can achieve balance in social life, in their social life, how transgression can disappear in society. Everyone feels justice and lives in justice, how this can be achieved in the society. These are, as I said, actually three levels or three areas of applying balance, which is nothing but justice, basically.
Thank you, Dr. Fatih. And I'm also wondering, how do you understand as a whole the Ottoman economic mentality? Because I believe some economic historians say there's already capitalism in Ottoman economic thinking. But if it's not capitalism, nor is socialism, how would you describe what is the Ottoman economic thinking based on your research, Dr. Fatih?
Yeah, Maxim Rodinson has a book about this, as you know, not about Ottoman Empire, but basically capitalist ideas in Islamic history. He wrote in French, Maxim Rodinson. Basically, I mean, you can find elements. If you have such perspective, you can always find elements which seem like capitalism, or you can also find the opposite. You can also find elements which seem like socialism or communism, for example. You can easily see. But the true methodology should be, I think, to see the whole. What was it in its whole? Because just finding some elements which resemble to capitalist arguments, or you can also find, as I said, easily find the opposite. I mean, you can also find in this set of ideas in this set of arguments, you can also find the ones which resemble to communist or socialist ideas. But this is not the main color of it. I mean, the main framework. You have to identify the main framework behind it, and if some elements in this main framework resemble to capitalism or socialism, it may. I mean, so they resemble. That's it. But that doesn't make it a capitalistic methodology or capitalistic framework. The whole thing. Doesn't make it. I think, in my understanding.
Yes, thank you. That's a very, I think, a very balanced way to look at it in terms of how we should look into what was the system that was in practice in the past, because this is very much a different time. And also, I think they have their own body of knowledge, their own concepts, as you have highlighted, Dr. Fatih. I'm wondering maybe a way forward, maybe for future researchers and future future economists in the Muslim lands. Perhaps they can also look into try to understand, because I think like in the West, even in several centuries before, they have divorced ethics from economics and from politics. But I think here there's still a very integrated system. So I think if they were to look as a discipline of economics only, or how economics is practiced, it cannot be separated from the whole system, Dr. Fatih. Would you agree this is the way forward? We should understand how.
Very important point you raised, Syafiq. Really, thank you for this. Let me say a few things about this. Actually, in Europe too, in the West, economics was a branch of ethics, because who is the founder of economics as a discipline? Adam Smith, right? Adam Smith was a professor in ethics department. I mean, he was a professor in ethics department, and the first book he wrote was Theory of Moral Sentiments before Wealth of Nations. He wrote the two books, basically. He wrote many other books, but he wrote, on one hand, Wealth of Nations, on the other hand, Theory of Moral Sentiments. So he was an ethics professor, basically. So even in the West, in pre-modern times, economics was regarded as a branch of ethics or economic activities. I mean, economics was not a discipline before Adam Smith, but economic activities were regarded as a branch of ethics. So in modern times, as you rightfully emphasized, we are inclined to compartmentalize everything and analyze everything in vacuums. I mean, separated from everything else. But this is not classical understanding, the pre-modern understanding. They, as we see also in this talk, the Ottomans, they dealt with economic issues, but not separated from everything else. They dealt with it in connection with religion, with literature, with everything. Actually, everything you can imagine. So this inclination of compartmentalization and separating the modern understanding. This is a modern understanding. Separating the subject of analysis from everything else is completely modern idea and was not present in pre-modern times. Why is it a modern idea? Because in order to be able to analyze it, you need to separate, like in laboratory. I mean, you need to disregard other elements and take it into lab. You want something that you want to analyze, and cut its connections with the outer world, so that you can take it into laboratory and analyze it. This is modern conception, and which was not there in pre-modern times.
Thank you, Dr. Fatih. Yes, I think that's a very important point to remember, so that we can do justice also to in terms of how we look at
Yeah.
this pre-modern, so-called pre-modern or classical empires and literatures and mentality, you know, as a whole. But maybe
Yeah.
before we conclude, Dr. Fatih Ermiş, perhaps we want to hear in terms of your views in terms of future, because I do feel like, although now in terms of the economic body of knowledge seems very elaborate and sophisticated and mathematical, but I think it's still this problem of compartmentalization persists, and sometimes it doesn't solve much problems, whether it be in the environment or ethical problem. So moving forward in the future, Dr. Fatih, would you say a lot of this kind of way of understanding economic as part of an integrated, more integrated system is something that we should still consider in the future? You know, whether in terms of studying a subject matter of economics, or even in terms of policy making in the future, Dr. Fatih.
Yeah. Thank you, Syafiq. Yeah, I think the correct way of studying any pre-modern society, pre-modern civilization, not only Ottoman, actually, is to try to look at their understanding from within. I mean, from their concepts, etc., and not to reflect our today's concepts and understandings to the past. For example, when I started my research, I saw many studies, many publications seeking for modern monetary theory in Ottoman understanding, or many other modern economic theories, and judge Ottoman scholars to according to what extent they could reach to this modern theory and to what extent they couldn't reach to this theory. This was not his aim. I mean, at that time, he had a completely different understanding. So we have to try to understand these persons, these scholars, from within their world, let's say. I mean, and with their terminology, with their concepts, not trying to find modern concepts in their understanding. This would be completely wrong path in my understanding.
Thank you, Dr. Fatih. We congratulate you once again for this research, and I think your book remains to be very useful and important in the field. His book is titled A History of Ottoman Economic Thought, Developments Before the 19th Century, published by Routledge in 2014. And we are happy to say that our think tank in Malaysia, IKIM, has a copy of it. And I definitely, we recommend for students and researchers, and even present-day economists who are interested to understand the mentality of Ottoman economic thinking. Thank you once again, Dr. Fatih, for your time.
You're
Inshallah,
welcome.
we hope to have you again in the future, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much, Sir Syafiq, for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we conclude with wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.